Let's hear from Jesus himself, the very people who will enter heaven, who are saved, the very people who love him, and the very people who don't. How does he describe the righteous, and how does he describe the ones that do not know him? But when the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit upon his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered in his presence, and he will separate the people as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will place the sheep at his right hand, and the goats at his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the creation of the world." That's a lot to take in. Prepared for you from the creation of the world. Wow. Just wow. For I was hungry, and you fed me. Pay close attention to this. For I was hungry, and you fed me. I was thirsty, and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me into your home. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you cared for me. I was in prison, and you visited me. Then these righteous ones will reply, "Lord, when did we ever see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink, or a stranger and show you hospitality, or naked and give you clothing? When did we ever see you sick or in prison and visit you?" And the king will say, "I tell you the truth. When you did it to one of the least of these my brothers and sisters, you were doing it to me." That might be one of the most significant, powerful verses in the whole Bible. When you're doing all of this, you're doing it to Jesus. I'm not saying you're saved by works, but I am saying that the people who do these things are the very people Jesus said will be in heaven. Now, our works they don't hold the power to save us, but faith without works is dead. If you are saved, you will have works as evidence, as fruit. It's not what saves you, but you'll have it if you're saved. You know? Have you done any of these things? This is what he's calling us to do. If you've never even once thought twice about doing any of these things, today's a really good day to start, because this is what Jesus said those who will be in heaven will have done. Not that that's what saves us, but I mean, that is what he said. Right? I mean, just something to think about, right? I mean, if you could care less about giving away any of your stuff, any of your money, about giving away any of your time to help someone else, there's a chance that you really don't actually know him. A chance, at the very least. Just saying. I mean, I'm just telling you what this says, right? I mean, it's pretty straightforward, you know? I don't know. But this next part is terrifying for those who don't know him, who don't do those things. I mean, if your faith isn't actually in him, this is This is going to be some intense stuff. Then the king will turn to those on the left and say, "Away with you, you cursed ones, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his demons. For I was hungry, and you didn't feed me. I was thirsty, and you didn't give me a drink. I was a stranger, and you didn't invite me into your home. I was naked, and you didn't give me clothing. I was sick and in prison, and you didn't visit me." Then they will reply, "Lord, when did we ever see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison and not help you?" And he will answer, "I tell you the truth. When you refused to help the least of these my brothers and sisters, you were refusing to help me." You refused to help Jesus. When you refuse to help people over and over, denying those in need who had less than you, you said no to Jesus when you said no to them. And they will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous will go into eternal life. Some people, they don't believe hell is eternal. And I mean, maybe they're looking at different translations. Maybe it's a little harder to tell from them. But what I'm looking at here, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. I mean, you really can't deny that. It literally just says it. And, you know, if we're going to go like way deeper into it, apparently the original text in the Greek, I think it is, that the Bible uses the exact same, I believe it's Greek, you know, same Greek word for eternal punishment, you know, for eternal, when it describes both heaven and hell. Heaven and hell, like, it's uses the exact same word, meaning that, like, if you don't believe hell is a forever, then you also can't believe heaven is forever, because they both use the same word. And obviously heaven is forever, so yes, hell is forever. And, you know, like, I know Kirk Cameron has been admitting that he doesn't, he's saying, how is that fair for a short time on earth to have eternal consequences? And it's like, you're not asking the right questions. It's like, none of us deserve any bit of heaven, you know. We all deserve eternal hell. You know, it's not that we shouldn't, you know, that we deserve heaven, you know, as if we deserve less hell. It's just that Jesus didn't deserve to go on the cross, really. That should be the real question. Why did Jesus do that when we don't deserve that? When he doesn't, when we don't deserve eternal life, when he didn't deserve to suffer on the cross, because he was the only sinless one. But, you know, when Jesus had finished saying all these things, he said to his disciples, "As you know, Passover begins in 2 days, and the Son of Man will be handed over to be crucified." At that same time, the leading priests and elders were meeting at the residence of Caiaphas, the high priest, plotting how to capture Jesus secretly and kill him. But not during the Passover celebration, they agreed, or the people may riot. So they only did it for selfish reasons. They didn't want to attract all this craziness, all this attention. And I think we see plenty of that in today's world, where the only reason sometimes people don't do really bad things is because, well, they don't want all the craziness that'll come from that, which is wild. Meanwhile, Jesus was in Bethany at the home of Simon, a man who had previously had leprosy. While he was eating, a woman came in with a beautiful alabaster jar of expensive perfume and poured it over his head. And that reminds me of Psalm 91, you anoint my head with oil, which I think is basically what's going on here, right? Hopefully I'm understanding that right. Which, if you didn't know, what is it, like they would put oil over sheep's heads to protect them or something. I don't know. But it there's definitely a deeper meaning behind this stuff. I know that wasn't a very clear explanation, but anyways, the disciples were indignant when they saw this. What a waste, they said. It could have been sold for a high price and the money given to the poor. Don't we see that? Don't we hear that from so many people, that same thing? It's like, you did that with your money to do something good when you actually could have used it for something so much more important. I don't even know. I don't know an example off the top of my head, but you know people that they see a good thing and they're like, oh, but that could have been used for something better. It's like, I don't know. Now, of course, sometimes maybe people have a good point, but clearly here, if Jesus says they shouldn't be saying that, then they shouldn't be saying that. And obviously, I mean, she's literally doing this to Jesus, God in the flesh, literally Jesus himself. So, like, yeah, obviously that's a really big deal. It's a really good thing. But Jesus, aware of this, he's aware. Does that have anything to do with him being God? Because I noticed, several times reading through Matthew that it mentions that, like, the Pharisees were thinking something, their heart's intentions, and like it said, made a note of saying like Jesus knew their heart or knew their intentions or whatever. I'm not sure, just a thought. But Jesus, aware of this, replied, "Why criticize this woman for doing such a good thing to me? You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me. She has poured this perfume on me to prepare my body for burial. I tell you the truth, wherever the good news is preached, throughout the world, this woman's deed will be remembered and discussed." So yeah, a lot of good stuff here. Matthew is just verse after verse after verse, just packed with so much. I mean, Jesus really accomplished so much in such a short amount of time. He used every little word that came out of his mouth to save millions, billions, to change the world. It's amazing. Like, God in the flesh, like, he knew exactly the right things to say. Like, it's crazy, like how versatile, is that the right word? That, like, it can help so many people that are going through so many different things just through saying the same thing to everyone, if that makes any sense. But the main thing that I just wanted to talk about in this section is just this we need to examine this and really examine our hearts and make sure this is us. Is this where our heart is? Because these are the sheep. Are we a sheep? Are we inheriting the kingdom prepared for us? Like, now, if you've accepted his free gift of salvation and you haven't done these things, are you still going to heaven? Probably. I mean, it is by him alone. So it's just hard to try to wrap my head around, because it's like, well, what about these people? Didn't they accept him too? I don't know. Trying to wrap my head around it. But either way, bottom line is, these are the kind of people that are in hell, the one who saw those in need and didn't do anything. They didn't care. Their hearts Their hearts just didn't care. But these people, to save their hearts, wanted to help people. They desired to do good, even if it meant them having less than they would have if they didn't help. I mean, that's kind of the point. None of our stuff that we own is even ours. It all belongs to God. And once you realize that, that makes things so much easier. It's like, well, I can just give it up. It's not even mine. Like obviously God blesses us with things, and in a sense it's ours, what we own, but like it's actually God's, and then it's God's first and then it's ours. You know, people living here, society, this world, they think they own the planet, they don't believe in God. They think everything belongs to them. People selling land and stuff. It's like, well, it's not actually your land, it's God's. God literally made it. I don't know. It's a lot to think about. But, I think that gets the point across. So just examine these. Have you ever helped someone? Have you ever fed someone that was hungry, that didn't have food? Have you ever given anyone water that was thirsty, that needed something to drink? Have you ever invited a stranger into your home? Have you ever given anyone who needed clothing? Have you ever cared for anyone who was sick? Have you ever visited anyone in prison? I don't know. There's a lot to think about. But yeah, I hope this blessed someone. Jesus is coming soon, and he loves you so much. Today's the day of salvation. Romans 10:9, John 3:16. 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4, is the gospel. So anyways, God bless you guys. Have a great night. Peace.